So welcome to Words Apart this week. We have Samantha Renke, who is a disability campaigner and actress. We're in her home today in Shoreditch. It's very nice. And today I think we're just going to talk about media portrayal and how being in the public eye has given a sense of maybe responsibility. And how because you used to be a teacher, right? And
did.
Yeah. And how has that career change shifted the way that you did you used to campaign before, or is it something that has come more with acting?
Yeah. So I just So I qualified as a language teacher. I used to do French and German, but I actually worked with predominantly SEN children. That was up in Blackburn, so I'm from Lancashire. But how I got into the campaigning, I was a trustee for the Brittle Bone Society, so I've got the condition brittle bones, osteogenesis imperfecta. I've always kind of wanted to progress in the charity sector, and that's why I actually moved to London. It wasn't to become an actress, it was to kind of work for a charity. So I started working for Action for Children on a voluntary basis, and then I was really struggling in London to get a job because I think they were a bit like, hang on a minute, you're a teacher and now you want to do this. And I was already 26 years old when I moved to London, so it's quite late on to have a career change. And then I went to a party, a housewarming party, and I was the only woman. There was 40 gay men, and they all worked in media and television. And that's how I met my business partner, Max Barber, who is a film director and producer. And he gave me an opportunity to star in it. It was supposed to be a short indie film, Little Devil. It turned into a full-length film. Wow. And it won some awards. I won Best Actress in LA, and it won Best Film for Diversity in the Arts. And then it kind of snowballed from there. I got an agent and was still doing a bit of charity work, but I was like, okay, gonna give this acting a good go. Find it difficult because I was disabled to get work. I mean, I'm not disillusioned in any way. When you're an actor, it's hard anyway. Yeah. And then starting adding, minorities or, ethnicity onto that, it just becomes even harder. And I was like, what am I going to do about this? So I started campaigning to get more roles. And then all of a sudden, my campaigning kind of snowballed and it really took over my life, but in a positive way. Okay. It's strange because I've not done much acting for a while because I've been doing presenting, and I really want to kind of pursue my, I do like Loose Women, and I was recently on Jeremy Vine, and I love kind of panel shows like that, so I really want to push that. Acting, when I get the right part, I know that I'll just fall back into it, but I'm really loving what I'm doing now. I've got so many fingers in different pies that I always say I'm a Del boy. Which I think is a great way to be. I actually get bored quite easily, and I think that's why I liked acting, because it was it's fast paced and it's different every day. But campaigning is kind of really taking over my life, but in a nice way. And I think it's great because I get to again work with so many different charity organisations. I get to understand disability more. I kind of hate how disabilities, we are kind of pigeonholed under this one umbrella. But if you look at disability, there's nearly 14 million disabled people in the UK, and that goes from anything covering mental health, kind of chronic conditions, to something like me, or there's so many different, and I'm learning. I really like learning from different people. But on the flip side, it's quite difficult. Because when you label yourself as like a disability campaigner, people expect that and you represent everyone. And that's quite difficult because I've never claimed to know. And I'm quite honest about that. I say, look, this is how I deal with it. This is what I've been through. I'm a wheelchair user. I've, get chronic pain. I've not known anything other than my disability. And I do not claim to know what it's like to have autism. Or to, to have a hearing disability. Although I'm here to kind of listen to what you have to say. And that's what I kind of do through social media, like Twitter and Instagram is a great way for me to reach out to people with different disabilities and impairments. And I'll be like, okay, so I'm writing this for the Metro. Tell me your experiences. So that's nice because I've now got like a following of people and they're happy to share their experiences. But yeah, it is a struggle because am I allowed to swear? You can piss people off, and I've had people be quite upset because I've used the wrong language or I've said something and I'm like, hang on a minute. Again, I've never said I know everything. I'm still learning myself. So it can be challenging. Sometimes my biggest critics are the disabled community, which I did. I did an article for Possibility magazine, which I write for, about solidarity, and I think sometimes we can lack solidarity within the disabled community. I'd like to see us all come together a little bit more. I think it's difficult again because we don't want to be all bunched together. We are independent. We're all different. Everyone's different. So I understand where sometimes that kind of tension comes from. I recently had something on Facebook. Someone attacked me saying, your fame has gone to your head. You're not doing anything for the disabled community. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Ultimately, I need to pay my bills. I need to, finance my electric wheelchair. I need to have a life. I need to, my condition's going to get worse. I need to put money aside for if I fracture, because that means I can't work. So don't judge me if I do things that, because I need to do them to survive, And I think also one thing I've learned, because it's great to do things for free for charities, particularly if you're passionate about a charity, and also just building connections and networking. It's great to do things for free, but I think particularly when you're working for charities, people can really take advantage and take the piss out of your generosity and your time. And I've learned in recent years that you need to put a price tag on your head. You need to kind of be like, look, I am a specialist in this field. I've got something to give. I think it's quite ironic because a lot of charities, they kind of talk about equal pay or equal rights for disabled people, and then they actually don't.
They expect you just to come and say,
I'm like, well, yeah.
Your time.
And I'm like, no,
they have the money.
You have the money, you need to. And I think, I'm quite firm with that. And if people see that as you being like, if I'm like, no, you need to pay me for doing this. If they're like, oh, she's, got above her station, it's like, well, no, actually, you need to. No one would do anything for free, and particularly if you're disabled, you should not take advantage of someone who is. I don't like the word vulnerable, but a lot of people would jump at an opportunity because they might not get paid, like regular work because of prejudices and discrimination. So it's like they might go do voluntary work. So it needs to. And I'm kind of pushing people as well. I'm like, no, you need to step up, get your voice, and be like, value me for what I am offering. So I used to be a massive Buffy fan. I still am a big Buffy fan. Oh my god. So I went to go and meet Nicholas Brendan, who plays Xander, the other day. I went on my own and the place wasn't really accessible. And so I just befriended everyone. Everyone was kind of on their own, so you just start chatting. And, it was just like, right, can you help me? You need to carry me up these stairs, or can you do this? So normally I'd be like, oh, I feel a nuisance, or do you know what I mean? I was like, no, I want to go in this. I want to go out in the smoking area with these guys and hang out. And the only way I'm going to get there is by picking me up. I don't know who you are, but we just met. But you know what I mean. And this is what I said in the, kind of when I was commenting, because it was quite powerful, the responses I got from that post. People expressing the same kind of experiences that they feel like a burden and they're constantly apologising.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, actually, you know, I'm going to Mexico with my best friend, and it can be a pain in the bum getting on a flight, long flight. You know, I can't get to the toilet myself. He has to carry me, and you know, like even in Mexico, the roads aren't that great. And like we stay at his mother's house for some time, and you know, I can't even get into the bathroom there because the doors are too small. And it, you know, like I rely on him a lot, and it's frustrating for me because as you can see, my house, I can do everything myself, and then I go there. But if you think of it like this, he would rather do that than not have me there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
that's so true.
you know, the time that we share together, because we're best friends, you know, it's worth picking me up every 5 minutes because I'm, you know, I've had too many vodkas and I'm constantly having to go for a wee. You know what I mean? It's like, you've got to look at it like that.
Yeah.
And if people don't want to do it, they won't.
Yeah.
Simple as that. They won't do it. And believe me, I've had a few people that were just like,
well, they just say no.
well, just, you know, when you meet a few people and then they don't quite realise that actually when you befriend someone, like myself, we you know, and hope that anyone hearing this, they don't take this the wrong way, but we do have kind of additional needs. Like there are things, again, we have to think about because our environment can disable us.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can't just go somewhere without checking if there's not got a disabled, accessible toilet. Or, you know, we have to kind of make sure that the taxi is accessible or, you know, so there are things that, it's a little bit like having a kid, you know, you've got to check things and we've got to, you know, kind of, I don't know, I think just be a bit more sensible and be aware of your environment, and some people just can't handle that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had one friend, he was like, he pulled in a nightclub and then he wanted, like, to leave, and I was like, well, you know, you can't really just leave. And I hope, you know, friends shouldn't leave each other in a nightclub anyway. I think, like, you should have solidarity. I think, you know, you shouldn't just, like, dump your friends. But, yeah, I think that was a bit of a shock for some of my friends. When I first moved to London, I'm like, no, like, get me, like, you can bring the guy you want to have sex with in the taxi, but you need to take me home first and drop me off. You can't just leave me, you know?
Sure.
So, yeah, that's that.
You also, like, I saw that you said you don't want when people say, you know, you're an inspiration because, well, yeah, can you go further into that? I think that's really interesting.
Yes, so this is a tricky one because when you say, oh, I don't want to be called an inspiration, people get quite offended by that because they're like, well, why can't I call you inspirational? So let me break it down. So as we just said, a lot of the things that I can't do is not because of my impairment, it's because of my environment. So if I go to a nightclub and someone's impressed, going, oh my God, I didn't think that, you know, there's stairs and, oh, I'm glad you made it because everyone had to carry you, that's so inspiring. It's like, well, instead of feeling inspired by me, why don't you come to Parliament with me and get building regulation change? So that you won't feel inspired that I managed to overcome a staircase. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a kick in the teeth. Like I'm like, well, don't feel inspired by me just getting up in the morning. I've had people kind of say, you know, God, if I were like you, I wouldn't want to live, or, you know, it must be terrible being like you. It's, you know, from birth, and I'm writing about this for my next Metro, you know, from birth, you know, when you have a child that has a disability, the first thing the doctor says is, I'm really sorry, this child has Down syndrome, or I'm really sorry. I'm like, for God's sake, we're not dead.
Yeah.
You know, so from word go, it's seen as a negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want your child to be sick. No one wants a child to be sick. But actually, you know, you should approach it very differently. Like, look, you've got a beautiful child. They have this, but you know, their life is not doomed. That's how it should be set out.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be challenges, but look, we've got this in place, that in place.
Yeah.
You'll get support. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate this whole thing of, oh, like it's the end of the world, because it bloody isn't.
Yeah.
And I think again that's why people call you inspirational, because they're their inbuilt like nature is to think that it must be terrible having a disability. You know, I've got some friends and their lives are such a mess, and I just look at them and think, Jesus Christ, you feeling sorry for me? It's like, I would not want to deal with your shit right now. I don't mind someone with a disability calling me inspirational. I think it's fine, because I would like to inspire other disabled people who have maybe been told or been labelled a certain way. So I'm fine with anyone, you know, young people. I prefer the term role model. I prefer, you know, being called a role model. So yeah, I think you just need to take a step back and see how you're using it. If you find me inspirational because you think I'm a great actor, or you think I'm a great campaigner, or, you know, you like the work I do, for a woman, or for, you know, someone from a working class background who has, you know, kind of social mobility, of moved up or moved to London. If you feel inspired by that, great, but don't do it because you feel inspired because of my disability. There's a big difference.
And what do you think, what sort of advice would you give to a young person who is trying to go to campaigning, a young person with a disability? What would you say to them? And
I think you need to find which charities that you feel passionate about, because there's no point doing something that you're not passionate about. So find a few charities. Even though I've said like you should know your worth, I would say the first 4 years I've been in London 6.5 years. First 4 years I did a lot for free. I did a lot, you know, kind of, I said yes to everything. Yep. Even if I felt scared, I'd say yes. So that's it. Say yes to as much as you can. Go into areas that you feel passionate about. You know, so if you know, kind of don't really care about the state of, you know, homelessness in London, don't go and work for shelter, because, you know, you need to have that drive. Particularly if you are doing it for free, you need to have that passion. Obviously, I started with the Brittle Bones Society. That's because I've got brittle bones, so it helps. Also, you know, use social media, use things that are free. Really invest in things like that. Talk to people. Even now, it's becoming increasingly difficult to correspond with everyone that contacts me, because I get inundated with messages. But I think, you know, set aside like a couple of hours a week to like respond to people, because it really goes a long way. And those core people that start off with you, if you engage with them, they will actually follow you, and they are the people that will perpetuate your career and like really push you forward. So kind of really invest in those that support you. And again, I still try and do it as much as I can now. It's, you know, ask me in 2 years' time, hopefully, if my career gets even crazier. I don't know how I'll be able to do that, but I don't think I'll ever be in a position where I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm never gonna respond to people. Because
that's something quite interesting, I think, when you think about, because you must get so many messages, especially when you do posts like last night. Because I was going to ask you, what do you do? Do you spend time?
I try to. I think if someone asks me something, some of them said, "Oh, how do I go about it?" Then I like, you know, how do I stop apologising for who I am? Then I will respond to them. You know, I've spoken to a few influencers, and they've told me just ignore everyone, because it gets to a point you just can't. Kind of get it. That goes against who I am as a person. I think particularly when you're dealing with people who have disabilities, you know, sometimes they can feel so isolated, and I've been there. And, you know, even if I just like take 2 seconds out, but I'm very honest, I'll literally go like, babe, literally no time. Like in a week's time, if you've not heard from me in a week, like nudge me. And you know what I mean? But even like liking something, I know it sounds simple, but even liking something, you'll always get some people that not take the piss, but some people take your little bit of attention, and you know, they get kind of, they want more, and when you don't, they get quite upset. That's difficult. I've had a few occasions of that, and I've just been like, no, look, it's nothing to do with you, but
Yeah.
I can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I physically can't. And, you know, I've even said to people, look, you've got to realise I am in pain most days. Like, you know, I'm a disability campaigner with a disability.
Yeah.
So please respect that I've got my own shit going on.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, so I will try and do as much as I can. I will try and represent you. I try and, you know, come to your event. I will try and, you know, kind of
do as
much, but actually,
so much you can do for your,
you know, kind of empathy. So yeah, it's an interesting one. So yeah, what is it? So say yes to everything. Make sure that you actually like the charities, or you want, you know, like it's passionate about it. Kind of don't forget the people that, you know, you start with. Interact with people as much as possible. Use social media because it's a great free way to engage with people. And I suppose, again, if you've got a disability, you know, I think, I don't know, some people might be a bit disillusioned. Like, I work really hard. I work very hard. I work weekends. Like, you know, even if I'm in pain, I'll like sit in bed and I'll do stuff. Last bit is be cheeky. Like, if you don't ask, you don't get. So my collaboration with Mia Tui, which is my new handbag range. So I've got a handbag that's got certain tweaks to it. It's called the Samantha bag, of course it is. That, you know, so it has people with disabilities in mind, so it's a bit more user friendly. But that only came about because Mia Tui sent me a free handbag, which is another reason why you should invest in Instagram, because you might get free stuff. She's always good. But I said, I want a bag called Samantha and I want to design it with you. Would you be up for it? And they said yes.
That's so great.
And that was me just being like, do you know what?
Yeah.
Well, what are they going to say? What could they say? No or yes?
Yeah, it's like the worst they're going to say is no.
Yeah,
So,
and now I've got a handbag range.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be cheeky and just ask.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the same. I always think, like, people, like, even getting an interview with you, like, people are like, oh, no, and I was like, look, I just got to keep doing it. Like, you know, like, and what's the worst you can say is no.
Yeah, of course. No, of course.
But it always works out, I think, so just
Hurrah.
keep pushing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And just don't be disheartened if you get, you know, kind of rejection. It's part of life.
Exactly.
Believe me. I get notifications from my agent for like acting jobs. Like sometimes I get like 3 in a week going, your application has not been successful. And you're sat there going, yeah, cool. Okay. You know, just look at it now going, oh, okay then.
Yeah. And what do you think has been one of your proudest moments?
God.
It's a hard question.
It is a hard question. I think I say yes to a lot of things, even if I am petrified. So, Little Devil, I'd never done a film, said yes to that. You know, that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Even just like, I do news reports for ITV News now, and I don't have media training, don't have anything like that, and news is intense. Like you have no idea like what work goes into it. It's amazing. And they offered me to do my first report, or like proper reporting, and I was like, yep, got that. I was like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. You know, and and the poor guy, Martin Stew, who does he's a reporter, but he does the weather as well. I don't think he realised I hadn't done anything, so I turn up and I'm like, no, don't know what I'm doing. And his face was a picture, but we made it, and I've been asked again. I've done my second one, and I'm learning every time, and they want me to do more in the new year. So, you know, I mean, I can't edit, so they always like have an editor with me because I don't know how to edit. It's like, I'm really bad with technology. But yeah, like, just say yes to stuff.
Yeah.
And just learn.
Yeah.
Like, you know, life is for learning, and I think, you know, you should always continue learning, even if you finish university. Like, you need to keep, for your own sanity and your well-being and mental health, you need to keep learning. You know, once you start becoming complacent, that's the danger zone. I mean, it is difficult, and you do have to be an open book. it is one of it's like selling your soul to the devil a little bit. I think responsibility wise, when I used to be a school teacher, my responsibility my duty of care continued when I left the school gates. If I saw any child, I had a duty of care. If someone was, endangering a child, or I had a duty of care as a teacher, I could get my teacher's license taken, qualification taken away if I didn't report abuse or anything like that. So I think, it's not just being in the public eye that has that responsibility.
For sure.
There's a lot of positions that you've got to do that. I think you can still be, you can still keep, not secrets, but keep things. I do believe you can still keep things personal.
Yeah, because you don't have
to. You don't have to. Yeah, exactly. I think it is possible to do that. I don't always talk a lot openly about my physical pain, or because actually for me, like, going on about it is actually quite mentally tiring. Sometimes I do have a moan and I'm like, just broke my arm, FML, do you know what I mean? This is really annoying me because my independence is gone, because people can relate to that, but I don't go on about it, like I don't say every day like this just happened, or yeah, exactly, because again,